Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Is San Diego ready for driverless taxis to hit the streets? Thanks for joining us. I'm John Carroll in for Maya Trabulsi. The Metropolitan Transit System Board voted this week to oppose Waymo's expansion to America's finest city. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer says the board wants more local oversight and regulation of driverless vehicle technology.
In a 12-1 vote Thursday, the San Diego MTS Board approved urging the state to restore the right of cities to choose to allow driverless vehicles.
It is completely unacceptable to me that the residents of San Diego, the decision makers in San Diego, don't have any say as to whether or not automated vehicles are operating on our roads.
San Diego City Council member Shawnilo Rivera is an MTS board member. He proposed the resolution because he's concerned about the impact Waymo could have on jobs and public safety. Waymo's data show their vehicles are safer than the average human driver, but the company's vehicles were found to have illegally passed stop school buses in Texas in recent months. The MTS board is now protesting to the California Public Utilities Commission and the California Department of Motor Vehicles. The agencies oversee permitting and approval of autonomous vehicles.
Taking that position gave MTS the authority to go up and engage in that process and say, we don't want them here.
The board also approved supporting an outright ban of driverless vehicles at San Diego International Airport. But not everyone agrees with the MTS vote.
Many seniors are opposed or have concerns about getting into a car with somebody they don't know, a stranger.
Paul Downey is with San Diego Seniors Community Foundation. His organization partnered with Waymo in December to show off the new technology to their senior community.
I mean, many folks, have to give up driving, and they still have to get to doctor's appointments. They still have to get to see their families, friends, go grocery shopping. And we see the autonomous vehicle as a partial solution to the challenge.
KPBS reached out to Waymo about the resolution. They had no comment. The company previously told KPBS they plan to expand into San Diego at some point in 2026, starting with a fleet of about a dozen driverless taxis. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Overnight tonight, we're going to see a pretty widespread layer of marine fog. Low clouds over the ocean kind of creep into the coastline. This is going to be a little more stubborn than it has been in recent days. That'll persist into early Saturday. Overnight, we'll drop down to 50 into San Diego, 49 Ramona, Borrego Springs, 47 degrees. And really, for the next 7 to 10 days, we're going to continue to be under a ridge for the most part across the west. There may be a little change, though, at the end of next week. Details ahead.
Tensions remain high in Minneapolis as a newly released report provides new details about the deadly shooting of Renee Good by an ICE officer. State and local lawmakers are urging the community to remain calm, even as President Trump threatens to deploy U.S. troops to Minnesota. Michael Yoshida reports.
Protests erupting again overnight in Minneapolis against ramped-up federal immigration enforcement.
This is not the America we want. This is not the Minnesota we deserve.
A newly released Minneapolis Fire Department incident report on the deadly shooting of Renee Good, who was shot and killed by an ICE officer last week, says first responders found the 37-year-old unresponsive with multiple gunshot wounds in her upper body.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you.
Trump administration officials accused Good of domestic terrorism.
This individual used a deadly weapon against our ICE law enforcement officer.
State and local officials, family, and friends dispute those claims.
She is a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister. She is many things to many people, not what the government labeled her as.
As tensions flare, President Trump is warning he might invoke the Insurrection Act to deploy U.S. troops to Minnesota.
If I needed it, I'd use it. It's Very powerful.
This as videos emerge appearing to show federal agents asking individuals to prove their citizenship.
All right, can we see an ID, please?
I am a U.S. citizen. If somebody is in the vicinity of this operation, of this target, then they could be asked for their identification.
Lawmakers slamming the tactics and calling for ICE to leave the state.
The occupation of Minnesota by ICE cannot stand.
Michael Yoshida, KPBS News.
A Honduran man who was held at a detention center in Calexico died last week after a medical emergency. KPBS's Tammy Murga reports Immigration and Customs Enforcement says his death is among 4 in the U.S. so far this year.
Family, friends, and a community of day laborers knew Luis Beltran Yanes Cruz as lively and healthy. So it was devastating to learn the 68-year-old man died of heart-related issues while in custody of U.S. immigration officials. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement announced he was evaluated for chest pain at the Imperial Regional Detention Facility. He died in a hospital on January 6th.
These health complications did not predate his time at the detention center.
Natalie Cisneros is a family friend who provides resources to day laborers like Yanes Cruz. She did not want to show her face. She worries about retaliation from ICE. She says his family is raising questions about the care he received while in custody and whether his death could have been prevented.
He started reporting symptoms of stomach pain. Every time he ate, he felt like he was going to throw up.
She says Yanes Cruz was given pills at the detention center for pain, but his symptoms like fatigue and shortness of breath worsened. The private company running the facility for ICE said in a statement that Yanes Cruz was treated promptly before being sent to a hospital. Bryant Vega is with the Imperial Liberation Collaborative. He says there's a growing pattern of inhumane conditions and lack of oversight at migrant detention centers.
No one is supposed to suffer the circumstances and undergo the experiences that they are right now.
In late September, another man died in ICE custody at the Imperial County Detention Center. A memorial for Yanes Cruz is scheduled tonight in Coachella. Tammy Murga, KPBS News.
The Grossmont Union High School District Board of Trustees approved new guidelines on immigration enforcement last night. KPBS reporter Elaine Alfaro says the close vote follows months of public requests for clarity and heated discussions among trustees.
The board trustees debated the updated policy at their regular meeting. The policy now affirms every school will be a, quote, safe and welcoming place for all students and their families, irrespective of their citizenship or immigration status, end quote. Clarissa McLaughlin graduated from West Hills High School. She spoke at the meeting and expressed support for the new guidelines.
And so it's important for the community to be involved in the schools and to make sure that students have their best chance at success. And part of that comes with knowing that they are safe and protected.
The updated policy lays out clear steps for teachers and staff if ICE agents show up at schools. Staff will direct ICE officers to an administrator, who is then required to review the officer's ID. And it clarifies the district will not share student or family information with ICE agents without a warrant. But the board's sign-off follows 3 months of disagreement. Trustees Jim Kelly and Gary Woods voted no. Here's Kelly.
This is anarchy, this is insurrection, and I can't support it.
Kelly even tried to make bets with other trustees that ICE wouldn't show up at Grossmont Union schools this year.
How about you making the bet, conversely, that if they don't come, you'll take my wife and I out to dinner at the restaurant. Right?
Okay, Mr. Kelly, I'm going to call you out of order. This is not a forum for gambling.
Nobody here believes it's going to happen.
The board's 4-member conservative majority often votes in a block, but this time conservative trustees Scott Eckert and Robert Shield joined Chris Feit to pass the measure. Here's Feit.
The bottom line is this is good for students, and it also reassures people in our community that ICE will not come here with their inappropriately trained people.
The district plans to provide staff training on responding to potential immigration enforcement moving forward. Elaine Alfaro, KPBS News.
A new tool has been launched in California to help residents prevent their personal information from being sold to data brokers. It's called DROP, Delete Request and Opt-out Platform. Lee Waldman reports it's the first platform of its kind.
Tucked in the folds of the internet is information about you. Maybe your email, your phone number, or even your address.
Your phone doesn't ring because a spammer dialed your number randomly. They bought your information from a company that sold it.
Data privacy expert Harry Moggins explains data brokers work in the shadows, buying and selling people's PII, personally identifiable information, to create a dossier of your digital footprint.
And usually it's for commercial purposes like that, but oftentimes it falls into the wrong hands, and you have somebody who's trying to extort or scam somebody.
It's a long-standing issue that California is hoping to tackle with its website, the Delete Request and Opt-out Platform, or DROP, which came about through the passage of the Delete Act in 2023.
What California passed with the Delete Act is a groundbreaking law. It's the first of its kind in the nation.
The DROP website allows residents to submit data deletion requests requiring registered data brokers in California to erase their information. Matt Schwartz with Consumer Reports says nationwide efforts to tackle the issue haven't gone far.
It doesn't appear like it is very high on the priority list.
Experts we spoke to suggest people outside of California can contact data brokers or hire a third-party service to do it for you to ask for their information to be deleted, and should prioritize using a privacy browser like DuckDuckGo and Firefox. But most importantly, be careful about what you share on the internet. In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, the CIA director travels to Venezuela to meet with its interim president 2 weeks after the capture of Nicolas Maduro. That's at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
As of this month, plastic grocery bags are no longer an option at checkout. A new law made California the nation's first state to ban them. And KPBS environment reporter Tammy Murga says the state isn't stopping at plastic bags.
Plastic is in abundance. Janice Jones sees it everywhere.
I'm an avid beach walker, have been for decades, and over time started to see more and more plastics washing up on the beach and became very concerned about it.
She thought plastic reduction should be tackled with policy, so she began advocating. Now she leads the Surfrider Foundation's plastics program. Jones has successfully pushed San Diego cities to adopt plastic laws, and most recently, California's ban on all plastic bags at grocery stores, including those thicker bags. But Jones says they are only half the battle.
When you go into a grocery store, there is so much packaged in plastic that it's really difficult to avoid.
Jones avoids single-use plastic products wherever she can.
When I walk into the market where I regularly shop, I first encounter the bakery section where all the baked goods are in plastic clamshells, and I can walk past that area and go to their actual bakery counter or their deli counter or their meat counter and purchase things there that I can ask to have placed in my own container.
She also shops at local refillery stores like Sonora Refillery in Oceanside.
I come here to refill my shampoo bottle, refill my conditioner bottle, refill my laundry detergent.
Jones says the plastic bag ban may seem like a small action, but
it actually will make a big difference, even though there's so many other plastic products that we're encountering every day.
She says they saw that big difference in a reduction in plastic waste that advocates attribute to bag bans across California. California coastal cleanup data show volunteers removed 65,000 plastic bags from the shoreline in 2010. That figure dropped to about 11,000 in 2017. But then came the pandemic.
And it actually went up to an all-time high. So in 2021 alone, California discarded over 230,000 tons of plastic bags.
Jen Ingstrom is with the California Public Interest Research Group. She says plastic bag manufacturers
took advantage of people being nervous about bringing their own bag during the pandemic to really push these bags as kind of the default.
Catherine Blake Spears says those bags were seldom recycled, even though they were branded as recyclable. She's the state senator from Encinitas who authored the bag ban law. Banning plastic bags is California's latest big step, but Blake Spears says the bigger effort is in tackling all single-use plastics.
everything you see is in a single-use plastic product, whether it's the plastic that's wrapped around a sandwich or it's what the cucumbers come in.
California is drafting rules for a landmark law. It will require producers to make packaging and foodware reusable or compostable by 2032. CalRecycle is leading that effort. Jones says you don't have to wait for new laws to take effect. You can start making small changes today.
The best bag is the bag you already have.
This year, Jones says she will push more San Diego County cities to adopt universal plastic laws. Tammy Murga, KPBS News.
The start of the year often brings a financial reset, but with inflation and higher costs, many Americans are feeling the pressure. KPBS web producer Riley Arthur takes a closer look at how to reassess financial goals and what experts say actually works.
For many people, the start of the new year is a time to review financial goals. According to the Federal Reserve's annual report on economic well-being of U.S. households, 37% of Americans reported an increase in their monthly expenses as inflation rose the last 2 years. The report also found that 67% of adults had some retirement savings. Whether setting new financial goals or reassessing existing ones, experts say now is a good time to take stock. While it can be tempting to set ambitious financial resolutions, a more gradual approach can be more effective.
I'm definitely a proponent of saying that you should start off small, only because I think too many people get derailed by letting perfect be the enemy of the good.
A good place to start would be to build up emergency savings. The Federal Reserve reported that more than 1/3 of Americans do not have enough savings to cover a $400 emergency expense.
And the first thing that you do is build a cash reserve, a cash cushion. This is like 3 to 6 months worth of your monthly living expenses. That is very straightforward. There are no choices to make. You simply put it away in a bank account. And that might take you 6 to 9 months, maybe even a year to build that up. But that is your number one priority.
The next step is tracking income and expenses to see where your money is going and what, if any, changes can be made.
First thing to make sure that is happening is that there is a surplus at the end of every month. And yes, you can cut, but it's almost easier to sort of earn your way out of most problems.
Another way to think about finances is to visualize it conceptually.
View your household like it's a business. Everyone is a business owner, regardless of whether they think they are or not. And kind of reframe it through this lens. You're a business owner. Your household is a business. You should run it like a corporation, and it should be that serious. That way you're taking the same enthusiasm that you might do an effort with your job. Your revenue is going to be your earnings, the income you bring in. Your overhead is the lifestyle that it takes for you to be just happy enough to go back to work. And then whatever you have left over at the end of the month, which I think is the number one indicator of future financial success, that's your profit margin. Nobody goes into business to break even.
Online tools like Wealthfront help automate bill payments, savings, and investment.
Automating your saving is actually a great way to get things started, because what it does is it transforms the act of saving into a compulsory good behavior, into something that not only happens automatically, but it becomes like it's part of your bills.
With high interest rates, fewer Americans are carrying credit card balances. 46% of cardholders carried a balance at least once in the past year, down 11 percentage points from 2015.
A non-obvious financial mistake that a lot of people make is not really understanding time value of money. We talk about how assets and loans are really time machines for money. Assets are where you send money to your future self, you transport it to the future, and your reward is the rate of return you get on that. That's clear to most people. Borrowing money, having a loan, is where you're transporting money from the future to the present, and the cost of running that time machine is the APR. It's the interest rate that you're paying for that loan.
Staying on track financially can feel daunting, so experts recommend making incremental improvements to build up momentum.
Just make a goal of being better than you were yesterday. This will be a great way for you to really facilitate that progress and really make some concrete steps that you can be proud of.
Financial progress is possible, and the most important step is getting started. Riley Arthur, KPBS News.
Around 1,400 people gathered in Mission Valley this morning to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and legacy. The breakfast is hosted every year by the Jackie Robinson Family YMCA. For the past 4 decades, it has helped kick off a weekend of remembrance across the region. This year's Human Dignity Award recipients are Dr. Leonard J. Thompson III and Dr. Walter G. Wells. They were recognized for their lifelong dedication to civil rights and service. All California state parks are waiving parking fees on Monday in recognition of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. State parks in San Diego County include Anza Borrego Desert State Park, Cuyamaca Rancho State Park, Old Town San Diego State Historic Park, Palomar Mountain State Park, and Torrey Pines State Natural Reserve. For more information, visit parks.ca.gov.
Well, we have some pretty widespread low clouds and marine fog building in tonight into early tomorrow. So it'll be relatively dense into early Saturday. Then we'll see some improvements. And overall, big picture, the warm and dry and somewhat breezy pattern will continue, at least for inland areas, and into the afternoon. It'll be a little breezier for those of us near the coastline as well. A limited amount of fire danger will be present with this breeze in the canyons and the passes. Thankfully, we've seen a lot of rain in the past month, about 2 and 3 weeks ago especially, so that helps a little bit with some moisture in the vegetation. Rain may return late next week. There's still going to be a ridge over most of the west, but we may begin to see some moisture sneak in around Friday or Saturday, a week down the road. That would be a good thing. Overnight, we'll get down to 50 degrees, partly cloudy. Widespread low clouds just offshore. Saturday, a pleasant start to the weekend, dry and relatively balmy. It'll take a few hours for those low clouds to kind of ease away and vanish, evaporating off of the marine waters, the Pacific Ocean. Cold air is bottled up east of the Continental Divide, so we look pretty good. And on Saturday afternoon, we'll be warming up to around 83 in El Cajon, 82 into Escondido. Pretty warm inland, 78 into San Diego, 79 up in Oceanside. So a warm time here for us into mid-January. A stellar day Sunday, continuing with dry, warm weather across the region. A little bit of patchy fog in the morning along the coastline. And very little change into Monday with the theme continuing. Dry across most of the southwest. Snow showers from Colorado into the high plains, and the cold air stays east of the Rockies. So a dry pattern continues through the middle of next week with little or no precipitation. There's the ridge. And again, if you're traveling east anytime in the next 7 to 10 days, very cold across the Midwest and the east. But again, the ridge holds at least through Thursday for us. We might begin to see a little bit of a deviation from that at the end of the week next week. But partly sunny, nice weather this weekend for the coastal areas, and very warm in the afternoon. 79 Saturday, then back to 71 come Tuesday, but a very warm Saturday afternoon. Inland areas, 83 on Saturday. On January standards, it's almost hot. Temperatures back down a bit into the middle of next week. Mountainous areas here, mostly sunny, a nice time, low to mid-50s for the next 5 days, hedging a little cooler by the middle of the week. And in the deserts here, we're hovering in the mid to upper 70s at times. Warmest here Tuesday, and then temperatures begin to drop, but a lot of sunshine. Most of the clouds will be lurking near the coastline. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jeff Cordish for KPBS News.
Looking for something to watch this weekend? KPBS cinema junkie Beth Accomando says zombies dominate her recommendations.
I love zombies. They're the perfect blank slate for commenting on humanity. Back in 2002, Danny Boyle reanimated the zombie film with 28 Days Later, giving us flesh-eating, viral infected creatures that sunk their teeth into social commentary with renewed energy and rage. But the subsequent sequels have been pretty much DOA. Until now. Nia DaCosta returns the franchise to its original glory with 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple.
This is a memorial to the dead. So, is this all you're doing? It is.
The Bone Temple and Ralph Fiennes were the only good things in the previous franchise installment, 28 Years Later. Fiennes reprises the role of Dr. Kelson, who dares to perceive humanity in an infected behemoth he calls Samson.
When the infected attack, what do they see? I believe the infection can be treated.
In a world like this where everyone's fending for themselves and the societal structures don't exist, some people choose anarchy and violence, and some people choose love.
A film that chooses love over anarchy and displays empathy for the other seems radical in today's political climate. But the chaos of the zombie apocalypse mirrors current anxieties, and Kelson allows us to lament what's been lost.
The foundations, they seemed unshakable.
In DaCosta's film, humans are more terrifying than the infected. The infected seem unaware of the horrors they commit, but the human character of Jimmy goes out of his way to be brutal and to cruelly call it charity. DaCosta gives us horror, but not always where we expect it. The film also delivers a stunning set piece with inspired use of Iron Maiden. 28 years later, The Bone Temple reminds us that zombie films at their best are about what makes us human. And while it may not be the perfect allegory for current times, it does ask us to consider who the real monster is. On the small screen, Adult Swim's Primal also turns to a zombie narrative as its caveman Spear is reanimated from the dead, looking and behaving a lot like Samson from The Bone Temple. Primal, which could also be titled brutal for its ruthless violence in the name of survival, was conceived by Genndy Tartakovsky, the genius behind Samurai Jack, and the only person to truly let Jedi kick ass in Star Wars Clone Wars. Primal began as a completely wordless series in which Spear, a Neanderthal man, becomes friends with Fang, a T-Rex, after both lose their families. Yes, that's completely unrealistic, but the show exists on an imaginary plane, and you just need to take a leap of faith. Now in season 3, Spear is in search of both his humanity and Fang. The show boasts an inspired visual style that's bold and action-packed. It'll make you gasp in awe, but it'll also break your heart. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I'm John Carroll. Have an excellent evening and a wonderful weekend.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.